last going on 8 years, I have purchased over 50 cars. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the most important components that I keep in mind whenever I'm making a new vehicle purchase. But first, my courses, the Car Sharing Masterclass and the Car Buying Masterclass are currently on sale for Black Friday, and you can use the code BLACKFRIDAY275 to get $275 off the Car Sharing Masterclass, and you can use the code BLACKFRIDAY125 to get $125 off the Car Buying Masterclass. While the Car Sharing Masterclass is a full A to Z guide on how to start and scale a car sharing fleet with the exact same business model that I use, the Car Buying Masterclass is a course that teaches you how to buy cars in order to avoid depreciation. And while many of the surface level tips that we'll go over today in this video are items addressed in the Car Buying Masterclass course, in the actual course, we go over it in way more detail, including how to define cars as below market value, or above market value deals, how to ensure that you pursue the right path for financing or leasing or buying outright in cash. But truthfully, one of the biggest value adds from the Car Buying Masterclass course is the pre-purchase inspection walkthrough that my husband HP did, where he takes you through every single thing that you need to know and keep an eye out for whenever you're doing a pre-purchase inspection. That way you make sure that you buy the right car. Both of these courses are on sale from November 1st until November 30th, and you'll want to act fast because once the sale is over, you'll have to wait until next year to get this big of a discount. You can check out the link down in the description below. Again, that's Black Friday 125 for $125 off the Car Buying Masterclass, and Black Friday 275 for $275 off the Car Sharing Masterclass. Now back to the video. As I mentioned a moment ago, over the last 8 years, I have purchased a lot of cars. And while if you are familiar with my Turo videos, you probably know me as the girl who buys cheap cars. The truth is, I've owned cars across an entire spectrum of vehicle prices, with the cheapest car I've ever purchased being a 2007 Ford Focus for $2,700, and the most expensive being a 2020 GT500 for over 90 grand, as well as everything in between from Mercedes, Lexus, Toyota, Lincoln, Maserati, Tesla, and more. And across all of these vehicles, the cumulative depreciation that I've paid, believe it or not, has been next to nothing. And that's because whenever I buy cars, I prioritize cars that are at the bottom of their depreciation curve, cars that I've purchased for below market value, and cars that have depreciation trends that I can predict and thus plan for. For example, my 2012 Ford Escape, which I purchased just a few months ago for $4,500. This car is at the bottom of its depreciation curve, and you can see here that there are very few, if any, 2012 Ford Escapes for below $4,500, let alone ones that are fully loaded with less than 100,000 miles. Being able to look on platforms like cars.com or in many cases Facebook Marketplace and seeing that there are very few Ford Escapes, let alone 2012 models in such good condition that are priced at $4,500 or below, it showed me that this car is at the bottom of its depreciation curve at this $4,500 price point. And this car will not depreciate much, if any more at all. And given these factors, I determined that this car would be an excellent car to purchase because I knew that if the car was totaled during a Turo rental, or if in one day I needed to sell the car, I would be able to sell the car for the same price, if not more than what I bought it for. A different example is my 2021 Tesla Model 3 Performance. This is a car that I prioritized buying at a discount. A 2021 model car is almost never going to be at the bottom of its depreciation curve. And so this is where timing your purchase is incredibly important. And I knew that because of the fact that I was buying this car right after the Tesla price cut, that if I also bought this car for enough of a discount from a desperate seller, I could put myself in a position to own this car for completely free. So I waited until I found the perfect one. I offered cash, and I ended up buying my 2021 Performance back in March for $26,500. And today we're actually selling this exact car for right around $29,500. And so for this vehicle, I was actually able to buy it, own it for a handful of months, and sell it for a higher price than what I originally purchased it for. Another different example is my husband's 2020 GT500. Now, this is a car my husband plans to keep forever, so depreciation is much less of a concern than if he was going to buy this car, own it for a couple of years, and then sell it. But of course, being someone who likes to avoid depreciation, even if it's a car that we plan to keep for a very, very long time, we still did pay attention to depreciation trends with this car. And given the fact that so many automakers are moving towards EVs and hybrids, and really away from what the GT500 is, which is a raw, high horsepower muscle car, and the fact that the GT500 nameplate is extremely iconic and Ford has since discontinued depreciate it. We felt very confident that even if we were to buy this GT500 relatively new, which we did, given the fact that we purchased it in 2022 and it's a 2020 year model, we still determined that the depreciation trends of this car wouldn't follow the same trends of some other cars out there. And we felt like, given the circumstances, this would be a relatively safe car to purchase. And while this car has depreciated a bit since we bought it, long term, I think it could actually appreciate. And short term, it's depreciated significantly less than comparably priced cars. Now, the best way to get the best deal as possible on a vehicle that you're looking to buy is to get a car that fits in these three categories. Bottom of depreciation curves with predictable, or at least predictable to you, depreciation trends, and buying below market value, so buying cars at a discount. And while it oftentimes is best to have all three of these components on your side, you can oftentimes counteract the effects of not buying a car at the bottom of its depreciation curve by buying cars at steep discounts instead. For example, like I did with my Tesla. Now, let's take a look at some real-world examples of some cars that I would consider buying based off of the criteria that I've just laid out. I want to go over a few different examples in some different price ranges, and I'll also address some of the additional things that you need to keep in mind as well. Now, one of the most textbook examples of a car that has reached its depreciation bottom is actually the one that I learned the concept of depreciation bottoms from, and that is a Lamborghini Gallardo. This is a car that if you buy the right year, the right condition, and pay the right price, you can very easily and realistically own this car for free. Because despite the fact that a Lamborghini Gallardo in some cases is 20 years old now, this car really hasn't dropped below about $87,000. You can see here that there are a handful of Gallardos in this price range, many of them a 2004 to 2006, with anywhere between 25 and 40,000 miles, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot for a Lamborghini. But this also means that if you can find one that is maybe a bit newer and a bit better condition in the same price range, you are protected against depreciation, like this 2007 model, which is priced at the same price as some other models that are much older with higher mileage. Another example in a different price range is something like a Toyota 4Runner. You can see here that whether you're looking at a 2015 4Runner with 180,000 miles or a 2016 model with 220,000 miles, the 5th gen as of now isn't priced much lower than $15,000, and in many cases it's hovering close to $16,000 to $17,000. This means that if you were to buy a 5th generation Toyota 4Runner in that $15,000 to $17,000 price range, you could very realistically own that car for a number of years. You could potentially put tens of thousands of miles on it, and you would have a high likelihood of being able to sell that car for the same price that you purchased it for, thus making your ownership essentially free. Now on to some cheap examples, which again, if you've seen my channel before, then you know that this is really my bread and butter, and these are cars that are priced at below $10,000. Because even with these cheap cars, you can limit, or in many cases, eliminate your depreciation costs. And truly, one of the best examples of this with a very high quality car that you can own for free is my beloved Toyota Yaris. Toyota Yaris have a great reputation for reliability, and over the last few years, finding these cars for cheap can be very hard. So if you want to buy a Toyota Yaris, $5,000 is really going to be the cheapest you're going to get, which means that if you can find a good Toyota Yaris for around $5,000, there is a good chance that you can actually buy that car, own it for a few years, and then sell that car later on for the same, if not a higher price point, because $5,000 for a Toyota Yaris is at its depreciation bottom. And keep in mind that finding these cars for their depreciation bottom price point is just part of the battle. You also want to try to get these cars for a discount. So for example, with the Toyota Yaris, $5,000 may be its depreciation bottom, but you'll want to try to buy that car for, say, $4,500 or $4,750. If you find that there's a Toyota 4Runner that has a depreciation bottom of around $15,000, you want to try to get that car for below that. Pairing below market value purchases with depreciation bottoms, that's how you win. But truthfully, knowing what you're looking for and being able to identify that, that's only half the battle here. Because even if you know what you're looking for, you still gotta find it. And this is where I find a lot of people who get discouraged. The truth is that if you go on cars.com, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, really any website out there that allows for you to look for used cars, there is a high likelihood that 99.5% of all of the cars that you look at are complete and utter trash. I know that if you watch my YouTube channel or if you watch my vlog channel, it may seem as though I'm able to find cars to buy so incredibly easily, and while I can understand why it looks that way, the truth is this isn't the case. While on my channel, I show all of the vehicles that I do buy, what I oftentimes don't show is all of the crappy vehicles that I look at or that I find online that I don't end up buying. Cars that don't have clean titles, vehicles, cars that have mechanical issues, vehicles that aren't in good condition, vehicles that are too highly priced and the owners won't come down on them. The list goes on and on. There are so many cars that I look at that I never end up purchasing. I've said this on my channel many times before, but if you want to find really good deals for below market value cars, you have to make a habit to look at Facebook Marketplace every day, if not multiple times per day. If I have a lull in my day, I am looking at Facebook Marketplace, whether it's in line at the grocery store, sometimes at a stoplight, if I'm stuck in traffic, if I'm in between meetings. If I have a couple of minutes to spare, I will typically pop open Facebook Marketplace. And the best part is that as you begin to look for cars more and more, the search actually becomes easier because Facebook begins to learn what you're looking for. So the more you look, the better your results will be and the easier it will be to find your next car. But truthfully, even more important than these two components is the PPI. Now, I talked about this earlier whenever I was talking about my car buying masterclass, but getting your pre-purchase inspection for your vehicle, whether you do it yourself or you hire a mechanic to do it for you, that is going to be incredibly important because that's how you're going to ensure that the below market value deal that you find is actually worth buying. But with that being said, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.